Well, we already had a conversation about fantasy tropes, and now we're going to kind of talk about science fiction tropes, at least some of the common ones. There is a little bit of a common thread here. A lot of the tropes that fall in the fantasy realm kind of also cross over into the science fiction realm as well. I mean, you have to consider the fact that, science fiction is sort of an element of fantasy, kind of creating a fantasy world set more in the future, if you want to think about it that way. So there is some crossover here on these particular tropes. I'm looking at 9 tropes that are probably the most common. It's not the end all be all. Same with the fantasy tropes. These are just some of the most popular ones that we see again and again in literature, movies, and TV. We have the chosen one, which was also a fantasy trope, so it carries over into science fiction as well. Post-apocalyptic, world-killing aliens, wormholes, artificial intelligence, dystopian governments, alien ancestors, space pirates, and world-stealing aliens. So we're going to cover the first 4 in this video with some examples, and then we'll double back, and the next video will be the last 5. So again, we're talking about that chosen one trope in fantasy, where the ordinary character discovers extraordinary destiny and is kind of thrust into this greatness. It also applies to your science fiction genres as well. Notable examples of this would be The Matrix. Neo is the chosen one. Star Wars, Luke Skywalker leads a chosen one path. And then we have Dune, which is also kind of has a prophecy and a chosen one in it as well. So those are some examples there of the chosen one trope in science fiction. For post-apocalyptic, it kind of describes a setting. Just like with fantasy, where we had a medieval setting, in science fiction, we often see a post-apocalyptic setting. It's kind of a staple of science fiction. It portrays the aftermath after some catastrophic event. Some examples of this, Mad Max is a perfect example of a post-apocalyptic world where everything is kind of turned on end. It's kind of something that we recognize. There are pieces that we recognize, but all in all, the world is somewhat different, and there's a struggle there. The Road is a good one, although, watching the movie or reading the book, I've done both, and I have to say it's a very depressing read, but it is a post-apocalyptic setting. Titan AE. Hunger Games is a post-apocalyptic setting. It's like supposed to be the United States in the future. Kind of everything's divided apart. The country's kind of divided apart differently. Things have happened. Divergent is kind of the same. Those kind of came along at the same time, kind of have similar concepts there. Ready Player One, set in the future, where kind of like this video game aspect just kind of takes over, life as we know it, and it seems to be everybody's focus. The Walking Dead, any of your zombie movies and whatnot is post-apocalyptic. What if zombies ruled the world is kind of or took over the world, I guess you could say. Is part of that science fiction trope. Next one is world-killing aliens. So the threat of world-killing aliens has always been popular and a recurring theme in science fiction, exemplified by examples such as H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. Basically, Martians attempt to conquer Earth, showcasing humanity's vulnerability and extraterrestrial forces. So you have the War of Worlds. Edge of Tomorrow is a good one with world-killing aliens. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Independence Day, classic movie of world-killing aliens. All of those are really good examples, but it is a very common trope in science fiction. The last one we're going to talk about in this video is wormholes. Wormholes are basically hypothetical shortcuts through space and time. They serve as kind of intriguing plot devices. They make us think a little bit, about our own reality and how space and time, could create this either time travel or traveling to different places in the universe in the blink of an eye. Some good examples of this are Interstellar, Contact with Jodie Foster, where she kind of visits this alien world and talks to them, and then she comes back and nobody believes her because there was only a little bit of time that passed and the video didn't work. And, so it's kind of almost this faith-based belief that actually happened. Doctor Who is, a great TV series that kind of transports people through wormholes, if you will, to different places and times. Stargate, again, you have the big, gate with the glyphs on it that can send people, to different places in the universe. Farscape is another one. I try to use examples that I think everybody knows, but those are my examples of wormhole science fiction tropes. So tune in to the next video and we will talk about the next 5 on the list.